Dr. Suzanne Hetz, Certified Applied Animal Behaviorist. And tonight I have a message for anyone who consults in any way on aggression cases. And this is really a message that you can't afford to ignore for reasons that you'll understand as we get through the message here. And the message concerns your case notes or behavior reports, or really any record keeping that you do about an aggression case. And I want to make sure that I cover the points that I mean to, so from every now and then I'm glancing over here at my notes that I've made about the topic. As most of you know, Dan and I serve as expert witnesses from time to time in animal injury or primarily dog bite cases. And I just finished one that luckily settled out of court, because testifying in front of a judge or a jury and being cross-examined by an opposing attorney is not a fun thing to do. I was deposed, however, for the case, as well as the trainer who had seen the dog in question before the incident that was the subject of this lawsuit happened. So without revealing the details of the case, what became important in the trainer's records as well as the veterinary records in this, and it was a civil case, not a criminal case, was that the dog was labeled in both sets of records as being dog aggressive. So the first question I have for you is, if I say a dog is dog aggressive, what does that mean to you? Well, I hope your answer is, I don't know. It could mean that the dog lunges and growls at other dogs. It could mean that he attacks other dogs, has bitten other dogs. It means that he may get into a fight with them but has never hurt another dog. And it doesn't say anything about what the circumstances or conditions are in which he might show these various behaviors. So that's the first thing. When we use a label like the dog is dog aggressive, we don't really know what that means. And when we use a vague label or a general label like that, it gives other people the opportunity to interpret that label as though it happens under any circumstances and with all dogs the dog in question encounters. And as we all know, that may simply not be the case. Many dogs who show some sort of threatening or aggressive behavior to other dogs only do so under certain circumstances. And if those additional details aren't provided and all that's in the record is that the dog is, quote, dog aggressive, then that can be used by people in the legal profession, including opposing attorneys and others, in a way that can be really unfair to the dog owner and increase their risk for additional liability or additional exposure. And it can affect the outcome of a legal case, both civil and criminal. So if you're consulting on aggression cases, you have to assume that anything you write in any of your records about that particular case and that particular dog can and will be seen by others, because you just never know when something bad is going to happen and a case is going to go south and it will end up in a court case. So another point to consider is that the recommendations you make, what to tell the owner or what you tell the owner to do or not to do, can also influence whether you might get drawn into a legal case as a third party. Now, we're not going to talk about that a whole lot tonight in this video, but it is something, again, that you should always be aware of if you choose to work with aggression cases. So, how do you be fair to your client in your record keeping and also protect yourself as well? Well, the first tip here is to not use a label like dog aggressive unless you provide additional information that includes a complete behavior description and some other details that I'm going to tell you about. That includes what the dog exactly does. Does he growl? Does he bite? Does he show his teeth? Whatever behaviors he has been known to show or that you observed, what exactly does he do? What does he look like when he does it? What are the eliciting stimuli, or what you might call the, quote, triggers? And under what conditions is he known to show these behaviors, and what conditions does he not? So that you have a very well described set of circumstances under which the dog shows the behavior and exactly what those behaviors are. So an example of a behavior description that could be labeled dog aggressive is that the dog lunges toward other dogs when he's on leash if the other dog gets closer than 6 feet to him. That's an example of a description that includes what the dog does and the circumstances under which he does it. We might also add that as long as the dog stays 6 feet or more away from the dog in question, the dog doesn't react in this way, doesn't lunge or show any other problematic behaviors or any other behaviors related to aggression. A description is not the dog is reactive on leash or has no impulse control. That's all trainer speak, and those labels are not helpful when it comes to helping others understand exactly what the dog has a history of doing. So the more description you provide and the more detail you provide, the better. The more that you leave your records open to interpretation based on the words you use, the greater the risk for your client as for being treated unfairly or assumptions being made that might not be true, and also the greater risk for yourself of perhaps getting drawn into a legal case as a third party to a lawsuit. So if you consult on aggression cases and you haven't done so already, we encourage you to take 2 of our courses. One is how to be an expert witness in a dog bite case. Now, even if you never plan on being an expert witness and that's the farthest thing from your mind, taking the course will at least let you know and teach you what attorneys are looking for and what legal cases are like, so that you can use that information to better make decisions about consulting with aggression cases, and also about the reports and record keeping that you do. And secondly, that's the second course that we would recommend, is how to write a behavior report, because that goes into a lot of detail about how to write behavior descriptions, how to write behavior reports that are helpful and not just so vague and full of interpretations and assumptions that anyone else reading them they're not really helpful, because they're not really informative. They're just full of labels and assumptions that really don't help people understand what's going on with that particular dog. So both of those courses are available at petprowebinars.com, and you'll find the links to those someplace on the page where this video is. Of course, Behavior Education Network members have access to both those courses as part of their member benefits, as well as a whole bunch of other courses as well. So if you want to take those 2 courses, follow the links on the page where you found this video. We hope this has been helpful to you, and we'll talk to you again soon. Good night, everybody.